All right. I think we are all the way live on YouTube. Okay. So I don't know. There's actually nobody in here right now. Hopefully, more people join. But here's the dealio. I'm actually working tomorrow at Comic Con. And because I'm working Comic Con tomorrow, came to the realization that I wouldn't be able to do my show tomorrow. Hence why I'm here today doing a kind of impromptu episode of the Graveyard. I don't even know if it's kind of unofficial kind of episode of the Graveyard. I don't know really what else to call this. I figured I was like, what am I going to watch this year? What am I going to watch this Halloween season? And I was like, you know what? Like, why not just like get on camera and discuss some of the stuff I'd be watching this season? I don't know if this will be the full hour, the classic, uh, graveyard style. Obviously, I'm in a really bad quality as compared to the goddamn camera I use on campus. But I figured I was like, you know what, man, I've just been watching some horror all day. I was watching some horror yesterday, and since now that October's here, I was like, why not, you know, just go live with an episode of The Graveyard, impromptu kind of thing. And the main show I've been watching for the past like 2 weeks, 3 weeks is this bad boy, Tales from the Dark Side. I would say one of my top five favorite horror television series of all time. Of course, it's a lot in the vein of the Twilight Zone anthology series like that, and Tales from the Crypt that came after this. And those two really went head to head in the 80s, Tales from the Dark Side and Tales from the Crypt. And while Tales from the Crypt probably has the bigger fan base, probably had the bigger budget, and probably had bigger stars involved, I would argue that this one, for me, is the one of the two I go back to more. I don't know why that is. I know, like, from a quality standpoint, these aren't probably as good as the Tales from the Crypt episodes. However, I would say that these for me are a little bit more memorable. I don't know why that is, but I don't know. I always go back to these, and I think you could pick these up pretty damn cheap. I think they go on eBay for like 18, which you can't beat that. Check these out on eBay. 18 bucks, can't beat it. The entire series. It's like 90 episodes. You also get two bonus episodes that I watched. They're on the last disc for season four. They weren't the worst, but it's still, I mean, it's technically 92. So 90 official and then two unofficial episodes of Tales from the Dark Side. And basically, if you don't know the background of like who was behind this, George Romero was actually behind this. They were at the time they released Creepshow in '82, and it was a pretty big hit. And the producer, Richard P. Rubenstein, was like, "Man, we should do another Creepshow." It took about 5 years to get the financing, and that movie eventually did end up getting made in '87 by Michael Gornick, longtime Romero cameraman. But in the meantime, they figured, hell, why don't we just do our very own horror television series? And in '83, I want to say, the pilot debuted, which is called Trick or Treat. And Romero actually, I believe, wrote the script for that pilot. And he actually wrote a couple of these episodes. The Circus, he wrote the one with Jerry Stiller, and he's on the radio and he's slowly but surely turning into the devil. That's a really, really good Tales from the Dark Side episode. But this was really, I would say, like, I know it's not called Creep Show the series. I know we have a new Creep Show the series, but I gotta say, man, I really enjoy this immensely. I have a lot of fun with this series. Are there bad episodes? Sure, there are plenty of bad. Like, for every good episode, you've got like two or three bad episodes. That's pretty much the ratio here. One out of every three are really good, or one out of every four are really good. Um, I did make a little list of, like, ones I wanted to talk about. I've got it on my phone over here, because I've just been watching these nonstop and, like, I can't get enough of them, to be honest. I have, like, 8 I wrote down here, so I can even pull from the vault and talk about more that I liked. But, also, I wanted to discuss other horror series that I've been watching. I've actually been watching, the kind of sequel series to this, which is called Monsters. That's also on Amazon Prime. If you have Amazon Prime, you could watch Monsters all 3 seasons for free. Can't beat it. It's awesome. It's pretty much it was a continuation of this going into the 90s, and you just have some excellent people working on both of those series. In this series, you have Tom Savini. He actually directed 3 episodes of Tales from the Dark Side. John Harrison, longtime Romero music guy. He actually did the music for Creepshow and hence got some directing jobs here on this series. Michael Gornick, again, who went on to direct Creepshow 2, The Golden Years. He actually directs quite a few episodes on here. He actually did quite a few Clive Barker adaptation. I think he did Clive Barker's Book of Blood, which came out in '09, which I really liked. John Harrison. I thought that was a really, really good movie. And Michael Gornick, unfortunately, hasn't done too much, but I know that I'm pretty sure he's come back to direct a new Creepshow, or it might be John Harrison. I'm not positive. I haven't seen the new Creepshow series yet, for anybody wondering, but I definitely want to check that out because if it's anything like these, I'd be stoked. But I figured I'd talk about a couple of these ones that I like, especially to watch around the October time, because this series is just classic. I really, really love the Tales from the Dark Side. I don't know how well y'all can see that. I guess you can't see the print, but the dark side awaits. Before I get into the episodes, though, the coolest thing, the thing that I think makes this series the most memorable to me, I know everybody loves the Crypt Keeper, and I love the Crypt Keeper too, but I always love the intro to this series. Like, it's so badass. You get that, you know, creepy doo 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 doo, intro, and man lives in the sunlit world of what he believes to be reality, but there is an underworld, a place that is just as real, but not as brightly lit, a dark side. I love the intro to this goddamn show. It's so classic, man. It gets you right off the bat, you're in the mood for something scary as hell. And like, I love when this show delivers, when this show lives up to that intro, man. There's just few things in the world or in the genre that really get your gears going like this does. And man, I really appreciate the intro to this. Paul Sperrer actually was the narrator of that opening intro, which Romero actually wrote that intro. And man, like, I don't know, it just gets me every time, gets me like super creeped out. I love that intro. Play it at like 2 o'clock in the morning with lights off in your room or wherever the hell you're watching this, and man, your skin will crawl. You will get chills, like I promise. It is one of the scariest intros of all time. But yeah, getting to some of the ones that I wrote down, these are just some of the ones that like stood out to me. Um, like I said, there are definitely some bad ones. I could talk about some bad ones too, like because it's just as entertaining. Trust me. I made a little list. The first one I wrote down was actually called Halloween Candy, and coincidentally, that is one of the ones that Savini directed. And it's basically the story of this old man, and he hates children. He hates the holidays. He's this miserable, lives at home kind of thing, and just he's absolute just miserable old man. And basically, one night it's Halloween night, and he's getting all these trick or treaters, and he decides I'm not going to get them candy. Screw them. They're annoying me. They're a burden to me. I'm not getting them any candy, right? So basically what happens is one trick or treater comes and he thinks it's just this annoying kid that keeps bothering him, ringing the doorbell, knocking on the door, stuff like that. And it ends up being this kind of creature that is trying to kill this old man. And like, I will say, man, it's a scary episode. I think all 3 Savini episodes are actually super, super well done and super scary. Like all 3 of them are memorable. The last Samini episode actually is probably my favorite Tales from the Dark Side episode. But Halloween Candy is awesome, man. It's some scary stuff. Like this old man is like, man, I hate kids so much. There's one point where instead of candy, he pours like mayo, mustard, and all this stuff into the. He's like, oh yeah, there's candy in here, and the kids go to grab, and it's just all this like crap, and he's just getting a kick out of it, and then obviously this little creature gets the last laugh. I don't know if any of you have seen Trick or Treat, the Michael Daughtry film from '07, but the last segment in that where Brian Cox is fighting off uh, the I wanna say Sam. Isn't it Sam? I don't know why. Quinn Lord, I don't know why I'm blanking the name on the creature's name. I think it's Sam. When Brian Cox is fighting Quinn Lord, that's it's very reminiscent of this, only that's a lot more violent. This is a lot more creepy, build the tension, atmosphere, stuff like that, and, like, I thought it was really flippin' well done. Like, it scared the shit out of me, to be honest with you. That's a really good episode of Tales from the Dark Side. If you have not seen it, Halloween Candy. It's this creature versus this, cranky old man that hates Halloween on Halloween night. You can't beat it, man. Like that's an awesome thing to watch around this time of the year. Um, Next one I have up is actually called the Giesen Stacks. And the Giesen Stacks is probably the best and one of the only, I would say, killer doll. Well, I don't even know if you could say it's a killer doll. It's more of like a doll episode. And basically, it's this family, and they're just, your everyday family. The dad is actually the lead, like, psychiatrist guy from Nightmare on Elm Street Part 3. He's actually in this as the lead. And he's he's just sitting at home one day and his brother comes in and he's like, listen, I guess he's a real estate agent or something. And he says, listen, these people just moved out of this house. They didn't, say or do anything, didn't give me any word, any notice. But the only thing they left was this little dollhouse. And I know that your daughter likes dolls. And I figured maybe she'd appreciate it. So he gives him the dollhouse and he's like, oh, thank you, man. I appreciate it. And the father gives it to his daughter, and the daughter basically becomes obsessed with these dolls, and she just becomes so entranced by these dolls. And I don't know, man. It's flippin' scary. Like, she's like, "Oh, Mrs. Giesenstack got a coat today, daddy." And he's like, "Oh, that isn't that great?" And then randomly his wife comes home wearing a brand new coat. She's like, "Oh, I just stopped at the store. There was a sale for this fur coat, blah, blah, blah." And like, you're just like, "Huh? Like, what the hell? Like, where did this bitch, is this connecting somehow?" And then randomly she says, the daughter says, "Oh, Mr. Giesenstack got sick." And he's like, "Mr. Giesenstack got sick? What do you mean?" And basically, he gets sick and can't go to work the next day. So anything and everything she's saying that the dolls are happening to the dolls ends up happening to the family. And it is so flippin' scary. I think the little girl in this is really what makes it. She is terrifying because she really gets you to buy into what she's selling. Like it's scary. Like all your notions and your family. You're trying to be like, okay, we're siding with the psychiatrist from Elm Street 3. We're not buying into this. These dolls have a sinister plot or whatever. And this isn't your classic like stalk and slash killer doll, talking Tina, Chucky, Dolly Dearest. This isn't like that. Or Annabelle even. Well, Annabelle's a piece of shit. Don't even watch the first Annabelle. I didn't even watch the two after because it's just like the first one was so piss poor in my opinion. Um, but yeah, man, I don't know. It scared the crap out of me. Like I thought it was really, really well done. Um, and then of course it has a wacky ending where I'll be honest, I didn't see it coming. Where the family, tension starts to escalate between the parents and the daughter. They're like, stop saying all these things, and it's all make believe. You have to realize it's all make believe. And she's like, oh, it's not. And I don't know. I love the ending of this one. It's not one I really want to ruin. I think people should watch the Geese and Stacks. I think it's a really um, well done episode of Tales from the Dark Side. And overall, I think it's definitely one of the creepier ones. I have more on this list, but I figured I'd open this up. It actually has. It's pretty cool. I don't know if you guys can see or not, but on the yeah, you guys definitely. There's a bad glare from this, but it has like all the names of the episodes listed, all little titles. This in case I forgot them. Um, Looking here, there's actually a really cool one called Anniversary Dinner. And Anniversary Dinner is basically this couple. They've been married for like 30 years, their 30-year anniversary, right? And they're like, oh man, we got to have this special dinner. We got to go all out with this special dinner. And basically, this young couple kind of shows up at their door and they're like, oh, we're looking for our friends. And do you know the way up the road by the old house or wherever? They're looking for their friends and basically get lost. And they're like, get off my property. We don't know. We don't know. And the girlfriend ends up coming back and apologizing. She's like, "I'm really sorry all this happened." And, she's really sorry about it and everything, and they're like, "Oh, don't even worry about it." And she's like, "My boyfriend and I, we're not things aren't going so well right now. He's, threatening to hit me and stuff." And they're like, "Oh, you wanna stay with us for a little while until stuff, peels over?" And, Nate, my friend, good to see you. I'll say hi to Nate. Nate. Tales from the Dark Side today, brother. I'm talking about some of my favorite episodes to watch around Halloween. No spoilers, so I know you haven't seen them all, but I said this before, FYI. You can grab these 18 bucks the entire series on eBay right now. Can't beat it. You get 90 official episodes and then 2 unofficial, so 92 uh, half-hour episodes of badassery. It's badass. Totally give it a watch if you ever are interested. But back to the anniversary dinner episode, man. I it's scary as hell because they're taking care of her and they keep mentioning their children, how they're sad their children moved out and stuff like that. And basically you get the idea that they want to have this girl over for the anniversary dinner with them. And every day they're coddling her, feeding her and stuff like that. And they're letting her chill in this like hot tub thing, and they're like, "Oh, just chill in there, man, just chill in there." And basically they're throwing like vegetables and stuff while she's in the hot tub. So you can kind of draw your own conclusion there of what the hell ends up happening in this episode. They're basically spoiler alert, even though I just said no spoilers, right? Um, they're cooking her. They're pretty much coddling her and all this stuff just to lead to cook her and eat her for the anniversary dinner. And like it's super dark, and that's actually not just the last twist. There are plenty more twists and turns to go with this episode, but I really, really, really enjoyed um that one. I just thought it was super well done, and it was like really like it was hokey, but it was funny and scary at the same time. Another episode on here that I would love to talk about. It's actually called In the Cards, and it's the story of this lady who's a oh dude, definitely see the movie. It's on Amazon Prime, the movie. Uh you can watch it for free. It's a fun little movie. Um and oh, okay, you have seen the movie. I'm sorry, I read it wrong. The series is a ton of fun though, man, and like it's uber cheap. You can get these all uber cheap, and like most of them are entertaining enough. Even the bad ones are entertaining. Let's talk, actually, before I get into In the Cards, I could talk about some bad ones on here. There's one, oh god, what the hell is the name of it? Deliver Us from Goodness, right? This is the story of this family, and for some reason or another, the father's like running for government. He's running for mayor or council or something, and the daughter gets this random power where she can wish things. And in essence, when she wishes for stuff, she also, with the wishes, gets this bucket of fried chicken with it. And like it just makes no sense like why she's wishing for these things and getting fried chicken. It's bad, like it's so hilariously bad, but like I had a blast with it because it was just so weird. He's like, can you wish for more votes for me? I'm sorry. And she's like, sure. And then fried chicken's in her hand, she's eating fried chicken and like serving it. And I'm just like, what the fuck? Like, what is the point of this? Like, what? Like, who wrote this? And like, who accepted that script? Like, it's just back crap crazy. I loved every minute of it. Um, but back to good ones. In the Cards, I thought was a really good one. It's just basically this tarot card reader, and she's this big scam ripoff artist, and she's one of those like, oh, she's trying to get more money out of people. What was his name? Bill? Bobby? Did it start with a B? And she's like, yes, his name was Ben. And she's like, oh, okay, I'm getting a clear signal. She's one of those bullshit tarot card, trying to get more out of you and stuff like that. And basically, she starts whoever comes in to get her service. She'll deal the cards, and they start dying off. Her customers start dying off one by one, and it's scary, dude. And she figures that anytime she reads anybody's tarot cards, they're gonna die. And like, I'll be honest, this one has a really dark ending. I did not see the dark ending in this one coming. Like, it blew me away when I saw the ending of this one because I was just like, oh, it's gonna end where she ends up killing somebody she loved by accident or something like that. And it really doesn't go that route. It actually goes way darker. And I guess it's the dark side, right? It's Tales from the Dark Side. I guess you got to go dark with it. But definitely of all of these, one of the darker endings, I thought. Another one I really liked was I'm trying to no, not that one. Um, Actually, it's called The Last Car. The Last Car. It's actually as a kid, it was my favorite Tales from the Dark Side. I think since then it has taken a step back. It's probably my second or third favorite. It's basically tells the story of this woman and she's on her way home from college. It's like the end of the semester, or actually, no, it's Thanksgiving break. And she's waiting at the train station at the beginning. And right off the bat, you get this cool atmosphere in this episode that I freaking loved. I thought it was really scary. You get this cool atmosphere, and she gets on this train. She's in the last car, and there's a little woman there, a little old man, and a little kid, and it's basically just her entire ride home on this last car, and these creepy ass weird things start happening to her every time they go in a tunnel. And they'll turn the lights out, and there's just, I will say this, if you've ever been on late night trains, like I've been on late night trains quite a bit, especially when I'm working in the city. I get on late night trains very commonly. Um, by the end of the night, the atmosphere on a late night train is perfection when you watch this episode. Like, it's done to perfection. It is so damn scary. Um, this girl keeps asking, why haven't we stopped? Where, I feel like we haven't seen any daylight. We've been here for hours, and all the other people in the car, just calm down, just calm down. It'll all be okay. And man, I don't know, man. It's just something about the atmosphere of this episode just scares the shit out of me to this day. As a kid, it scared me to death. Like, I remember watching this episode, and by the time I got to the ending, I was just like, I'm never getting on a train again. It's like the Jaws of train movies, right? Or train television, horror episodes, what have you. It's just so damn good. It makes you genuinely afraid to get on a train again, especially the last car. I've never been in the last car, and I never will be, just because of this episode. It's just so damn effective. Every time they go in the tunnel, just the chills that ran up and down my spine rewatching this one. I was just like, this is what it's all about. This is why I love the genre. It's just little moments like this. I'm sorry about the ringing telephone, by the way. This is what I get for doing the uber low budget episode of The Graveyard, not going into campus today. But I figured, like, Miranda was dealing with a bunch of stuff yesterday, so I didn't want to be like, can I do my show today? Can you take time out of your busy schedule? Like, I just was like, you know what? I love Miranda too much to do that. I was just like, I'm just gonna stream live right from here and give my best doing an episode. But yeah, man, I love The Last Car. It's not, again, it's another one. I don't want to spoil the ending. It's kind of a cool ending, I'll be honest. I will say upon rewatch, it did seem fairly obvious the ending. Although when the first time I watched it, it was not obvious at all to me. Um, but upon rewatching this time, I thought this was an awesome episode. I'm streaming, babe. I'll be out in like an hour, okay? Sorry. That's my grandmother. She's just chilling. She just got back. But yeah, we're all like, I don't know. That episode scared the bejesus out of me. I thought that was a really, really good little episode of Tales from the Dark Side. Go into some other ones I like. I go back to the list. I don't want to, oh, this was a good one. The Word Processor of the Gods. Now, this was an episode that I actually thought was a little bit more, it's dark, but it's a little bit more lighthearted at the same time. It's basically I believe it's Bruce Dern is the lead actor in this, and he's younger, which is weird to see him so young. I believe he went on to be in like or is it Bruce Davison? It might be Bruce Davison. I think it was Bruce Davison. I'm sorry, it's not Bruce Dern. It's Bruce Davison, and he went on to be in like Rob Zombie's Lords of Salem, which is another movie around this time of the year I do like to watch. Actually, last year I watched it on Halloween night. Love the Lords of Salem, but it's Bruce Davidson, and basically he gets this gift from his late nephew, who he was super close with, and he's closer with his late nephew than he is with his own son. and his own wife. And like uh he gets this word processor from him as a last ditch gift, because the son was killed in a car accident by his brother. Um, and they died in a car crash. And he leaves this for his uncle. And it's this awesome little old school word processor. And basically, anything he types into the word processor ends up coming true. So he says, he types in, I wish I had a million, $100,000. Next thing he knows, he's got it. He's got $100,000, and it's super cool. Like anything he types in the word processor ends up coming true. He really hates his son because his son is this like skater boy punk rocker, always blasting guitar in his house, not working, and like just an absolute ass of a kid, right? And he basically just wishes him away. He's like, I wish I didn't have a son anymore. And that same night, his wife comes home, and he's like, man, he's like, do you regret we ever never had kids? And she's just like, no one remembers that the kid even existed except him. And she's like, it's a good thing we never had kids. I bet he would have been a brat. And she's ended up being right. It's really funny. His wife is just this fat bitch, and she's mean, and she's always abusive towards him. And no matter what he does, he's never good enough for her. And in essence, he wishes her fat ass away. And you start to realize with this episode in particular, sometimes people live, it's the horrors in with people live in their everyday lives. Like I know plenty of people that will just settle just to have somebody to live with for the rest of their life. And Bruce Davison in this episode is portraying that type of person, somebody that I don't want to be alone, so let me settle for this girl that's uneducated, stupid, out of shape, mean to me. Like it literally checks off all the do nots on the checklist. The only one she checks off on the do list is she's making sure I'm not alone. And it's the horrors of that, and the horrors of what if I didn't like my son? And like it's some dark shit. Like I'll be honest, like you don't genuinely think about that. You just think, oh, my kid's my kid. What that's the parent mentality. I don't have any kids, so I don't really know. But I thought it was super dark to go there. Just be like, yeah, he's my kid, but he doesn't have a job and he just plays the guitar all day. I'm gonna wish him away. Like that's some dark stuff. Like I love that shit. Like that's totally my cup of tea because I was just like, this guy just wished his whole family away. Like what the fuck? Like that's, I thought that was freaking awesome, man. Um, but it ends up actually having quite a different ending than I thought. I thought since Tales from the Dark Side, it would have a dark ending. This one is actually one of like a handful of episodes, and when I say a handful, you can literally count them on one hand. Like there's very few episodes that end positively for our lead characters. But this is actually one of them where it ends on a high note, ends on a happy ending. And I was expecting the worst. I was expecting that he would accidentally delete himself or something, or even worse, like somehow delete the entire world or something. I thought something along that line, but that doesn't end up happening. He basically ends up getting everything he ever wanted, and I thought that was a really cool change of pace for this series because it's obviously Tales from the Dark Side usually always ends in a dark manner, but I liked the happy ending. I'll be honest, I liked the happy ending. I thought it was kind of cool because I liked the character. I know I guess some people would be like, he's a fucking dirtbag. He wished away his family, but his family were a bunch of pieces of shit. So I feel like I don't know. I'll take the lesser of the two evils there personally. I really liked the word processor of the gods. Really underrated episode. I've never heard anybody talk about it on Tales from the Dark Side top 10 lists. Um, Another one that scared this one as a kid, probably this one in the last car when I was a kid scared me the worst. And it's called No Strings. And it's basically this episode of these mobsters. I didn't go back and rewatch this one. I'll be honest. Like, this is one of the few of these lists I have here that I haven't rewatched yet. But as a kid, and to this day, like I'm afraid to rewatch it just because of the experience I had when I was a kid. It's basically these mobsters, and they go. It's like late night. They're at this like theater or whatever, and one of the guys that they have captive or something is like a marionette guy, and one thing leads to another. They kill somebody, and they use one of the dead guys as a marionette. And like just seeing that and the effect is so well done. I'm not positive. I'm pretty sure Nicotero at some point had something to do with this series. Because if Savini had something to do with the series, I'm assuming Nicotero did too. They don't. I'm not positive of that, but it is such a well done effect of this corpse just being marionetted around, and basically the marionette comes to life eventually, and all flippin' hell breaks loose. And you bet your ass that 7-year-old John Grande was scared shitless at that scene. Like I'm still scared to put it in and watch it. Put it that way. Like it scared me like to death. And I was like, this is a really well done episode of Tales from the Dark Side. Like this is what it's all about. You have a very serious atmosphere because sometimes these could be goofy. Like there are some goofy Tales from the Dark Side episodes. I don't want to get like Basher Malone. That's a series finale. That's a goofy episode. That's like an episode where this wrestler wrestles this guy from hell and like they fight to see who's going to go. Like that's a cheesy ass episode. It's not bad, but it's not serious. No Strings is one of those episodes. It's serious from the word go, and it scared the shit out of me from the word go. Like I thought it was a really, really well done Tales from the Dark Side episode. I really enjoy No Strings. It's one again. I don't really want to spoil the ending, but it's dark as hell. Um, coming in, one of the ones I have on here, one that I've never heard anybody talk about, but this one really got me in the mood of this season, of this month, of Shocktober, if you